Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Curious Anarchy podcast, and we have another episode of the Astrology series where today I'll be speaking to Emma. How are you, Emma?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So just sort of briefly then, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as a Virgo sun?
Well, I suppose Virgo is supposed to be Earth, right? But I'm quite fiery. I've got a zest for life, passion for injustice or justice. I just love life, music, children, animals, nature, the moon. I love the moon. Yeah, got a relationship with the moon.
So from what I know, Virgos tend to, one of the sort of typical traits of a Virgo is that they're quite analytical. So they mentalism, they're very much working in the mind. How does that kind of
it resonates with me? My mind is quite tricky. My mind travels very fast and very far. Sometimes my mind is too quick for my mouth to be able to keep up with it. Yeah, that resonates.
So let's sort of crack on then. So tell us your story.
When you said you wanted a story, I was going through so many different stories, and I just decided that the one that makes the most sense is to start way back, like in childhood, because that forms so much of what we stuff. So I decided to start with a not very joyous topic of child abuse, of sexual child abuse, which I'm quite open and comfortable with talking about nowadays and in my later life, should I say. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about that happened when I was 5.
Okay, thank you.
I suppose my mum had me when she was 17 and went back to school or uni when I was about 4 or 5, and I was left with my nan who'd picked me up from school, and she was a lovely woman, but very naive. Like she just saw the best in everybody, but sometimes that's not possible, is it? And she had a gardener who was, a family friend, and she just asked him one day, or maybe he probably actually initiated it and said I could pick her up from school, and my mum was at uni, so he started picking me up from school, and it happened a few times. And then I was in the bath one night with my mum, and I guess she'd heard that he was picking me up, and she was just like, I was 5, and she was like, how's it going with John? Well, John was his name, I don't mind saying his name, I can say his name, that's fine. And I literally said what he did. Like, I was 5, I just said he licks me, or he tickles me, I think. I said both, because he used to tell me to say, tickle. So she took me to the police station. She went crazy. I do remember one of my only memories of that night was her running downstairs screaming, because my nan was downstairs, so I guess kicked off. Okay. And then I remember being in a police station, kind of not being able to reach and my mum was told, this was 1984, so they're told, you're not going to get very far. These cases don't go anywhere. Emma would have to be on the stand. It's not very nice. And you just, sweep out the carpet, deal with it, and move on. That's all I remember until I was in sex education in my school when I was about 10, and the subject came up. And I don't know where it came from. I think I'd buried it all those years. I don't remember it in my mind before then. I literally just put my hand up in class and said, what happened? Like, I was abused, blah. I guess that's the beginning of my conscious, reasoning and dealing with it. That's when it came up. And I suppose basically since then, I have been dealing with it, but it still creeps into your personality and the way that you do things or the decisions that you make. And then as you grow and you learn about yourself, you start to realize, oh, that's why maybe I do things like that. Or, in my life, I've seen that I can be quite codependent in a relationship, or I have been. I haven't been in a relationship for 3 years now, which I think is quite healthy for me. But yeah, it's just what what that led to, you know, what that shaped in me, and what it makes me quite a lot of what I am, you know. Yeah, like it makes me really hot on injustice. I hate injustice. I can't stand it. It really brings that fire in my belly. But often what I do see in my is that I have passion towards injustice towards others than maybe I do in and for my.
Interesting insight. And I wanted to ask about the relationships that you had with your parents and then your grandmother, and even with school, because I mean it was you were 5 at the time, and then it was only 5 years later, age 10, where I guess you could say maybe the penny dropped.
Yeah.
And things began to kind of unravel from there. Like, do you kind of recall like conversations with your family around what was going on at the time? I mean, around the age of sort of 5, 6.
I remember, and I've been told from my auntie, who I'm very close to, that my neighbour of a similar age to my nan, and she kind of knew because the police would come round, or, you know, it was just gossip, I suppose. Right. My nan, being the naive woman that she was, kind of didn't want to leave it, for starters. You know, she was like, no, oh no, darling, oh no, just so like
in denial.
Yeah, in denial. And I think my mum has, well, I have issues with my mum. That's another thing entirely, is that relationship. She's never been able to kind of deal with it or listen to me. I think she feels incredibly guilty, probably to the point that literally there's no communication over it. But yeah, I remember arguments between my mum and my nan when I was young, and then, like I say, it kind of just went to the back of my mind until it got sparked up when I was 10, and that's when like the journey began, you know.
So this happened in school. You were in a what, a sex education lesson, or?
Yeah, I went to a music school. It was a boarding school. At the age of like 9, so I was young when I went there, because my family, they were musicians and they played and stuff and cello, and so it was a boarding school, and the teacher was one of my favourite teachers. Mrs. Jones. She's not with us anymore, but I think it was a mixture of just feeling comfortable, but also it was just like a light switch went off. My hand just went up and it just came out of my mouth. And she did say I had, you know, there were letters and I had counselling. That's when counselling started, you know, that young, and then I've done things throughout the years to deal with it. But she did say, and there was a letter that went home that just said it was, you know, great that Emma said that, because quite a few other kids have come forward and with similar stories, and, you know, it was right. I mean, it's still rife now, but it was, you know, very rife then, with just so much more secret. Like, it's more out in the open now, unfortunately, how common it is.
I think there's much more support, visibility of the issue. I think it's more.
Because the more we talk about it, the more awareness there is, and easier it becomes to talk. Not so taboo, you know. As long as it is, it's not taboo. It's just one of those FUCKED parts of life. Do you know what I mean? It has to be dealt with.
You can curse on it.
Okay. One of those parts of life.
Yeah. So how then did your relationship kind of change with your parents, with your immediate family, sort of after that point?
Like I said, my relationship with my auntie is one of the strongest relationships I've got, actually. But my mum, that relationship has never really developed into anything. It's difficult to. I find it quite difficult sometimes to talk about my mum, because I know what a mum is supposed to be, and I hear so many people and know so many people who speak so beautifully of their mums, and I know that, you know, you're into this world. So I find it difficult to say how difficult my relationship is with her, and how much I don't really feel like she's been a mum to me. Like, I don't have I can't turn to her or talk to her, you know. She's good to go out and party with and dance with, but that's about it. I mean, we don't even do that anymore, do we? So, but,
I mean, we've had the pandemic for the last year, so
yeah. Maybe it's a good thing, because my mum, when she's out, she's. I mean, the thing is, my mum is a separate person as well from me, so we've got this, and there's these issues between us. And she is also her own person, which is in itself a mystery. But then I've got a brother and sister who are like 20 years younger than me, so they've got different experiences of her, because she had me when she was 17, and she was a completely different person then, you know. Like,
so you were a first child then.
Yeah. So, for instance, like I have memories of my mum, you know, like hitting me and stuff. A lot of kids got hit, like. But one thing I always is that, like, when you see kids disciplining their parents, like, oh, don't shout at me while they're shouting at them, you know, or like my mum, I wouldn't practice the violin, and I say she punched me in the nose because of nosebleed, so it must have been pretty hard. But to this day, if I say it, she just denies it, like that didn't happen, you know. So there's not much that can be done with my relationship with my mum. I've spent a long time working on it and trying to reach her in different ways, but it hasn't worked. So it's kind of like, at what point do you draw the line and just think, okay, well, no.
So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that. That's first of all. And I wanted to kind of ask you kind of how you said that you've had like counselling and stuff. Like, is that ongoing? Is it sort of a sporadic thing, or is it? Are you finished?
No, I'm definitely not finished. It's not like I have an ongoing therapist that I see once a month or once a week or something like that. I mean, it comes in phases. Either when I'm kind of pushed to it, when I don't realise I need it, or when I do need it and I go after it. See the health doing it. But I've done a few things, I suppose. I did Landmark, and I did a weekend called Landmark. Oof, hard to explain, but you come out of it kind of stripped down and much more open. And if you deal with things throughout that weekend, you know, if you really delve deep into your childhood and you're open to the process, you can come out with. And I kind of dealt with this issue that weekend as well, and I stood up in front of like 200 people and spoke about it, which, you know, I do feel quite open to speaking about it nowadays. If I feel comfortable, or if I'm with the person, or even if I don't feel comfortable with the person, but the situation just seems like it's so important for me to say it, like, okay to say it. Sometimes I think other people find it more uncomfortable than I do, like.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of one of those things, I guess, with it being quite a taboo topic, still, although it is kind of, you know, I guess the ice is kind of melting. It's not one of those. There's a lot of shame and embarrassment around it, on behalf of the person who's listening, and it's a shame. I actually have another series where I'm going to be speaking with counsellors and therapists and sort of sharing their stories about what's come up with them and that kind of thing. And there will be some areas of crossover between these episodes. But for sure, you know, I kind of see therapy as you know, I advocate that process, and I'm sure that you would as well. I mean, how helpful has it been for you?
The counselling process throughout my life, wherever it's been. Yeah, really helpful. The different things that I've done, even if they haven't done what I've wanted, thought, you know, they teach you maybe something that you didn't even know you needed taught or told or shown, like a mirror. Right. You know, just learn more about yourself and why you make the decisions that you do in order to maybe make different ones. Yeah. So, I know I've been in pretty actually destructive relationships. and while certain things are done are just it's not okay, it's not cool, then I have to look at myself and be like, well, what to make these and be in these situations, and so long, you know, I'm such a passionate, loving person. I love so hard that going back to that whole doing more stuff myself, I think it all kind of goes back to this, what happened when I was young, you know.
So I guess, like, in a way, there was like an aspect of maybe dissociation where you kind of detached, and like your body is there, but your soul, your spirit is not, you know, they're not in sync.
And this of just not feeling worthy. And if you've had something like on when you're a child, you can't really talk about it. It's taboo within the family, or, you know, your immediate family.
Yeah.
Then you look for other ways to deal with that, like whether it's positive or negative ways of dealing with it, you know. Like, so whilst I might be in a really destructive relationship, I might be doing nothing, like just I'm flying with it. I'm on fire.
Yeah.
That it's really positive, but then there's something else in my life that's just like holding me back, and then eventually they're going to come to like loggerheads, and there's going to be something's going to have to give, you know. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that thank you so much for that. I'm in awe. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you sharing this story so openly, and being, you know, this is all completely voluntary. You know, I wasn't expecting this to come out. Although we did have a brief chat beforehand, but yeah, this is thank you.
That's okay.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say to kind of wrap up the story?
No, but I'm fine with it there. Obviously, when we say goodbye, I'll be like, oh God, yeah, that, and oh, I didn't say that, but it, my mind is you know, like the feminine mind is all over the place, like
that's a typical Virgo.
yeah. So no, I mean, that's always good chatting to you, Jermaine.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Emma. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming onto the show. Yes. And sharing with us today. Look out for more from us in the astrology series soon to come. Thank you all very much. This is Curious Anarchy. Please contact us at Twitter or Instagram @_Curious Anarchy. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the Facebook page also. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you. Gratitude. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.